Hello and welcome to your Physical Geography Unit 1 PowerPoint presentation. Well, this is what it is. We start here. Unit 1, Physical Geography. What is physical geography? First, I'm going to say this. All the links that you will see on this video, I will not play here because of copyright reasons, but all the links will be in down, right? All the links will be down in the description, as I'm sure you are familiar with that way of doing things on YouTube. So let's go and start. So what is it exactly? Well, physical geography can be divided in two sections: Earth as a support system for human life, and physical geography as a natural and social science. So that's the two ways really you can divide it. You can divide that in those two sections. So before we actually start explaining the two sections we mentioned, we need to understand the general ideas of physical geography. The reason behind this is because we are not all the same at the same place in our understanding of Earth. Some just know that we live on it, and others can describe in detail the ecosystem they live in and the geology involved. So what's coming might be new for some, or a revision for others. So, but it will give us a framework of what we will be doing. And I would say this is for about the first three units. I'd say it's pretty much that, depending. So just making sure that everybody is on the same page. So there we go. Definition. Always good to have in a quiz, right? Not giving a hint. Physical geography is the study of the natural processes and systems that shape the surface of the Earth and life on it. So if you want to have a definition of what we are talking about when we're talking about natural processes, it's the four seasons, the weather, the temperature patterns, climate change, and plate tectonics. And what is a system? It's something like the water cycle, the structure of the atmosphere, the world's natural habitat. So those are the two, well, the natural process definition, if you want, and system definition, or examples, if you want. And this is the definition. What are the main ideas behind physical geography? Well, the main idea is that the knowledge of today comes from years of study. It's not something that came out of a hat or something. So all the theories that are there, it's an explanation based on accumulated knowledge. So if you have a knowledge of something, you have a lot of knowledge, you can come up with some theory. And a theory is never, very important, never really proven true, because knowledge changes constantly. So you base your theory on certain knowledge, and then it cannot be proven because knowledge will change. So that's the thing. So that's why it's always evolving, right? So a theory is only supported by further investigation or disproven, if need be, because then with that investigation, you acquire more knowledge, and that knowledge may change the whole theory to a point where the theory would be disproven. There's many examples of this. I'm not going there right now. So I really like this one here. But anyway, I'll explain later. So, and if not disproven, if the theory is not disproven, then it gains more credibility and acceptance, right? So you have a theory, practice, all those together make learning. So you have a beautiful tree that has two different things that makes it stronger, makes a very stronger tree here, right? Because you have theory and practice. I really like that image. Now, we ask ourselves some questions like, how were mountains formed? What forces caused the continent to move? How was the Grand Canyon formed? What effect do major Earth events like earthquake and volcanic eruption have on the Earth? How is mankind affecting the physical environment? What features combine to form deserts or Arctic regions? Why do you have that there? Those are all questions that we try to answer. Or actually, we ask ourselves, okay, what's this? How? We're a bunch of curious people, I guess. And from those questions, we figure out the purpose of physical geography. So what is the purpose of physical geography? It is to examine the record of physical changes of the Earth and attempt to understand the forces that drives these changes. Why a river goes one place and not another? Why is it not always the same? Why does the river change course? Little things like that that we may know, right? So just look at the changes, basically. We look at whatever changes that happened, and we just want to know and understand why those changes happen. Now, at this point, I do this both as a review of the previous part and also as something that, well, I may or may not use in a quiz or test. So I'm not giving the answers of those questions. They are all in the presentation before, right? So I'm explaining why I have questions here. And then you'll see I have it in different places. Sometimes it's just at the end of the presentation. Sometimes it's right in the middle. And sometimes I have multiple questions in there because there's a lot of material. Like in this video, for example, there's 38 slides. We're only at 8, right? So it's just to tell you. What are the two sections in physical geography? Answer that question. Give a short definition of physical geography. There you go. What is a natural process? Can you give examples? What is a system? What is a theory? Write down. Why can you not prove a theory? And what is the purpose of physical geography? So you answer those. You can stop the video here and go back if you want and just look at this, okay, to find the answers. And that's pretty much that. The Earth as a support system for human life. Everything is linked on this planet. There's no, it happens far away, so it will not affect us here. This is absolutely not true. The biosphere of our planet gives us life. If it wasn't for this biosphere, well, bio, right? Life, sphere, around the Earth, everything where is life, this gives us life. Makes sense, right? Jean-Michel Cousteau, which is the son of the guy who actually invented scuba diving, like independent, not the big one with just the one that you have the bottle on your back and you just go and swim. And okay, so that's the son of this guy. He's talking about the ocean here. Again, this link will be in the description below. Be sure to look it up. Okay, but in short, he just says that the ocean is us. It's keeping us alive. The review of different spheres, because I talk about the biosphere, right? So let's go and check all the spheres that there is. Another good thing here. The atmosphere, a mixture of gas, mainly nitrogen. Yeah, people are saying, oh, it's oxygen. Well, it's mainly nitrogen and there's oxygen in it. And what that are found above the Earth's surface extends for hundreds of kilometers above the surface until merges with space. That's the definition of atmosphere. Lithosphere. Lithosphere is the Earth's outer layer, right? It includes the top part of the mantle and all of the crust. So it's approximately about 100 kilometers thick. It varies because there's some places that is thicker than others. It's normal. Biosphere is the thin layer below, on, and above the Earth's surface. So basically where life form exists. If there's a life, it's part of the biosphere. It's that simple. Hydrosphere is the zone on Earth in which water is in its various form is found. Whew, that was a mouthful for me. Basically, if there's water, okay, we're talking about the hydrosphere. And cryosphere comes from the Greek cryos, which means cold, frost, or ice, and is termed and is the term which collectively describe the portion of the Earth's surface where water is in solid form. So if it's ice, water in solid form, so snow, anything like that's cryosphere. So since it is all linked, what are the main areas of concern then? Well, physical geography primary area of concerns are the Earth atmosphere, the animal and plant life, physical landscape, rock, minerals, and other life form, soil, that's another one, water cycle, the oceans, rivers, other bodies of water, climate and weather. It connects these concepts to human activities and demonstrates how each concerns is important to sustaining human life on the planet. So all of this is all about how this is sustaining human life. All of those words or concepts or things that we find on this planet, how does that sustain human life? Yeah, it's very human-centric. So, explain what Jean-Michel Cousteau means by, in the video, he says, we are visual creatures. What does he mean by that? And actually is saying it in the video. Name the 5 spheres of the Earth. You don't have to explain it, just name them. Explain one of the sphere in your own words and give an example. and name the area of concerns of physical geography. There's 5. That's just like the other one. You can stop the video, go back and check, and definitely watch the video Jean-Michel Cousteau, link in the description. B, physical geography as a natural and social science. So physical geography is way more than only maps and books. It is all what links people together and people with nature and our planet. Link again here. They explain a little bit more about the physical geography, what it is, and there's different views on that. So be sure to go in the description and click on the link, because again, I don't want to be targeted for having any issues with this, right? And I'm just explaining it and asking you to go and check, and the video is there. All credit to them. They've done a very good video. That's why I used it. Sorry. The key concept of physical geography are: physical geography is multidisciplinary. So what it means is that it draws knowledge and material from other branches of science, such as cartography, ecology, biology, geology, astronomy, earth science. You can add there chemistry. We use all the sciences that we can. So it's a more of a general. That's why when I explained in the intro, I said physical geography is not a pure science, because a pure science will be physics, right? And physics will only concentrate on that. In physical geography, we don't go in depth into biology, for example. We don't go in depth in that, but we do use it from, I would say, competent researchers and people doing biology and all that. So we use it to explain what's happening on the planet. So because of that, we call it multidisciplinary, multiple different disciplines that we use. Human beings have a profound effect upon the environment that they inhabit, both positive and negative. So we tend to always see the negative part, but humans also have good positive effect on the environment also. So we just look at both. Physical geography follows the scientific method, right? If you don't know what the scientific method is, research, hypothesis, experiment, data analysis, and then conclusion. This is a very short way to do it. You can go and look up what is scientific method if you don't know it by now. There's definitely an issue, because you should have seen it in grade, since grade at least 6, if I remember well. So anyway, just in case you don't remember, look it up, but those are the main points. So the characteristics of physical geography. So what makes us unique? Like I said before, it's multidisciplinary, integrative. So we select and use information from many other disciplines, and we are able to put them together to understand the bigger picture. Spatial. So study the location, distribution, and pattern of a wide variety of phenomena that influence the Earth's surface. So when we see at one point that there is a landslide, for example, well, we just study that location and just make sure that this is going to be happening there. So it might be happening other places that are similar to that. So spatial, that's the whole thing. Holistic, so we examine the big picture. We're not going into the nitty-gritty details. We are just seeing the bigger picture of the whole thing. So deals with the way in which all processes and events on Earth are interrelated. For example, how the eruption of a volcano can influence the climate and vegetation in its surrounding area. Okay, so it's really seeing the big picture, holistic, and concerned with change. So changes constantly occur over the surface of the earth. Well, it's a living thing, right? So it's all about, if we're talking about biosphere, okay, so live. So when there's a change that happen, well, this is something that we want to look at. And this may happen over a long period of time. Okay, for example, the theory of continental drift. This may happen over a long period of time, or it can occur in a short period of time, like, for example, a tsunami. So there's a change that happened there. What's going on? Right? So over a long period of time, the continental drift might be a little bit harder to see. But if you're looking at the tsunami, well, there was no water and then there's water. That's a drastic change in a short amount of time. So when we see that, we're like, okay, what caused that? What happened? Okay, so that's pretty much that. So questions, again, geography help fostering the integration of which two science? That's in the video. Why is it said in the video that there is plenty of geography? What do they even mean by that, right? So just watch a video and they will explain it. Explain what we mean by multidisciplinary. So what is this multidisciplinary? What does it mean, right? What are the 4 characteristics of physical geography? Simple. And here, in your opinion, how can we link the 4 characteristics of physical geography? So there is not really a good or bad answer here. It's in your opinion, but it needs to include how we link the 4 characteristics of physical geography. Think about that. How do we study this the subject? Well, first off, we go with the systems approach. Then we'll go with geological and historic time, and then the constantly changing environment of the Earth. So those are the 3 points that I am focusing on in this. System approach. Well, in grade 10, you probably have learned about all the different systems we have on this planet. So as a review, if you don't remember, right, or if you didn't see it, I know most of you should know the water cycle, but maybe not all of you know the nitrate cycle, and the carbon cycle. It depends, it varies. So why do I say this? Because the water cycle is in the grade 6, if I remember well, curriculum of science. Carbon cycle comes a little bit later. I can remember, I think it was grade 8. But nitrate cycle, not always. I can't remember seeing it in any of the curriculum. So you might or might not know. So it really depends. So again, those links are down in the description. Go there. And those cycles must be understood to understand how the systems are linked and work together. Like really, if you don't know this, and you have no idea, and by not know, I mean really, you know the water cycle, you don't have to know the nitty-gritty details, but you know that water evaporates, blah, 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 and all that jazz, right? So if you know this, it's going to be easier to understand the weather. because it's part of the water cycle, right? So that's what I mean by that. You cannot understand how system works and how it links and work together if you don't even know that this cycle exists. So be sure to understand them, at least at their basic level, so that you have a better idea. Process versus system. So what is a process? A process is a sequence of action that achieve an end goal. For example, an assembly line here. If you've never worked on an assembly line, well, if you haven't, you probably, well, you're seeing an example here where one person is doing one thing and the other one is picking up whatever and is doing that one thing. That's an assembly line. That's a process. A system, it's a group of related things or parts that function together as a whole. Like, for example, the school system. So school system is not only teachers or students or custodians or principals. It's the whole thing that works together, right? So this is the school system. So a system may contain many processes, which, okay, different process and different systems can influence one another. So what you have here is basically a process. What is a process is like an assembly line. A system is a group of things together. And in this system, you may have, not always, but it is also possible that you will have some processes that would be included in your system. So this is much more complex than this. All right, questions again. What are the 3 ways we study in physical geography? 3 different things. Explain the water cycle, explain the nitrate cycle, and explain the carbon cycle. And you can use this in your own words, right? It doesn't have to be the nitty-gritty details as long as you have the overall explanation. If you can explain it, you're good. What is the difference between a process and a system? There you go. Those are the questions. Again, you can always stop the video and go back and see and watch the videos that are linked there. So be sure to do that. The 4 main systems. There's 4 main systems here. Morphological systems, cascading systems, ecosystems, and altered systems. We'll see them in detail. Morphological system. Well, what is this? Well, this focus on the item, the landform, the patterns, the shapes that results from physical processes operating on the earth. In this image, you can see that water has shaped the land and has most likely set the stage for where the small village would be built. Why do I see that? Like, see here, 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 here. So you know that this at one point, no matter what it is, there was a lot of water that went down here somehow, right? And here you see this that's going here. So there's a reason why this small village is here, and it's protected by this mountain range or mountain that's right there. There's a reason why they've put it there. Probably there's not as much floods, right? Because it goes here and it goes around and before it goes through. But that's exactly what it is, a morphological system. You look at this with the different indication of water that are there. Even if it's a former waterbed, I think this is a former waterbed. It's not something that would be always there, probably a spring or something like that. And the main brook or a little river here, right? It's there. So those are the systems out there. Cascading system. Now this focus on the flow of energy or matter. The inputs and outputs of energy or matter are important in studying this system. So the input of energy from the sun, the water cycle, the flow of water. So there's two main cascading systems. There's the open cascading system. There's a continuous input of energy or mass from outside, for example, from the sun. So our Earth is basically an open cascading system. So a closed cascading system would see no input of energy or mass from inside, but circulate in a fixed amount of mass or energy through the system. For example, the water cycle. So yes, it takes the sun to start it, but the water cycle itself is a closed system, cascading system. Okay, so see the difference here? Okay, I hope you do. It's really that, like, this is seeing how you see the water cycle. For example, it's always the same in the same little close. We're not losing anything. We're not gaining anything. The water may change, maybe into ice or snow, but it's still only water, right? So it's still there. But in open cascading system, it comes from the sun, and the sun is always giving us energy constantly, always, right? So the energy comes from outside. Here, the energy is just kept inside. That's a big difference. The ecosystem. An ecosystem is a special type of system in which plant and life respond to and influence the component of the physical world. So climate, soil, etc. So what is important with the ecosystem is the interrelationship among the components. That is of prime importance, actually. So it can be, an ecosystem can be as small as a droplet of water or as large as the entire planet. Well, actually, it's called the ecosphere in that case. So in part of those ecosystems, there's a biome that is included in that, which is a large ecosystem dominated by one type of vegetation, such as forest, grassland, tundra, and deserts. So ecosystem, basically interrelationship of different components. If you look into this one here, this is an example of an ecosystem. There's some flowers, like looks like lily pads and stuff like that. There's some nutrients that's there, eaten by like bigger little thing. And anyway, you have a bigger fish that's there, and that bigger fish is always eaten by a bigger one, bigger creature. All of this is in interrelationship between predator and prey, for example, between bacteria and living things, between living and non-living, because there's different things, that the sediments that are deposited there. See what I mean, right? So ecosystem is really the interrelationship of everything. And it would happen usually, what we study most of the time is about the biome, where each biome has its own vegetation, and that is what is dominated by, in one biome, it's that type of vegetation. Like, for example, if you go and take a walk in the forest here, and you go in the Amazon, you will have two different types of forests. Those are two different biomes, right? So it's that simple. Altered system. So this is this focus on how morphological, cascading, and ecosystem have been changed by the planned or unplanned intervention of humans. So hydroelectric dam, that changes the flow of a river, like you have here. Talking about hydroelectric, there's huge hydroelectric in Quebec, for example. It gathered so much water that if you were to put all that water into one spot, all the water gathered by the dams, right, or created by the dams, would be as big or almost as big as the whole province of New Brunswick. So they created different tiny little lakes here and there, but added together, the humans have created a humongous lake, if you want, in tiny little ones, just with their dams. So you can definitely imagine that this has changed the weather in that area. There's no doubt. So higher level of carbon dioxide that modifies the Earth's energy balance. That is one thing, carbon dioxide, that we are putting into our environment, whether we agree or don't agree with if it affects actually the weather or not, that is irrelevant. We've added more carbon dioxide into the overall system, no matter how you look at it. So cutting or burning trees in a rainforest, that's another one that you definitely affect the system. Just look at what's happening in the Amazon, the burning of tree that they do there every year, or cutting, depending. The cutting is now a little bit harder because they have actually prevented that from happening, but the burning is still happening. So that's that's the altered system. So we are changing, as humans, we are changing the systems. Questions? Explain the importance of morphological systems in everyday life. That's a good question. Explain the difference between open and closed cascading system. Explain all ecosystem in one sentence. That's actually easier than you may think. What is an altered system? There you go. Those are the questions. Geological versus historic time. So, in short, geologic time is what happened to the Earth itself. Click here. Well, not here, but link below. And that will give you a little bit more details about geologic time. Historic time is what happened to people. So geologic time happened to the Earth. Historic time happened to people. So what is geologic time? Geologic time is a theory. It is thought that the Earth is 4.5 to 5 billion years old. And this has changed quite a bit and will continue to change depending on our knowledge. When the knowledge change, the theory will change, right? The age of the Earth has not drastically changed over the past 50 years, but how they scientifically support the age has. So in 1760, Buffon, which is the name of the scientist, estimated that the age of the Earth was about 75,000 years. So he said that the Earth was about 75,000 years old. In 1860, so about 100 years after, Kelvin, yeah, the guy who invented the Kelvin scale, if you don't know about that, increased that to 25 million years. So they went in 100 years from 75,000 years to 25 million years. Less than a century ago, so in 1918, Barrow estimated the age of the Earth at 1.2 billion years. Today, following the scientific revolution and the development of radiometric age dating, we think the Earth is more like, sorry, 4.54 billion years old. And this will most likely change again because our knowledge will change. But at this point, this theory is 4.54-ish million years. We cannot be precise with that, of course. It gives us only a range. Now, historic time. See your history teacher for more details. I know it might sound like a joke, but we really do not have enough time to talk about history in the time we have for the class. So just know that historic time is about people, right? So the only thing you have to remember concerning physical geography about this is historic time is what happened to humans on this planet. That's why I said at one point that physical geography was using a lot of different sciences, but was not going in depth into them. Well, history is one of them. We know about it, we use it, but we don't go in details, right? So that's what it is. Haven't talked in a long time. Questions. What is the difference between historic time and geologic time? That should be an easy one now. How can we explain the difference in estimated age of the Earth between 1760 and today? And according to today's estimation, how old is planet Earth? Those should be easy questions for you to answer now. The constantly changing environment of the Earth. Yes, the environment is changing. The hype about global warming has changed to climate change. Regardless of the name we choose, in fact, the Earth has been going and will be going through changes, right? Just click on this and you will see that's exactly what it is. So that we talk about global warming, that we talk about climate change, any people denying that there's some changes happening has not done any research. Is just giving you an opinion, right? So that's basically, that's what it is. So just look at this one here, this little video. It's in the link below and the description below, sorry. So now, can or should we do anything about it? What are the causes of those changes? Remember that when we have a change happening, we need to understand why those changes are happening. And this is pretty much the question here. Can we or should we do anything? So if we can do something, what can we do? And if we should do anything, what should we do? That's about those changes. So those are things that we need to wonder, and using this to understand what this means. So here's what NASA say about that subject on climate change. And if you click on the link, it will give you a page and you can go on that and read that. It's actually very interesting. Now, what does a leading scientist from NASA is saying about climate change? If you click on that, you will see that this guy is explaining what he thinks is the reasons for the climate change. It's a little bit lengthy, it's a little bit long, but have fun. Take time to actually listen to this guy. you may agree or disagree. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing with him. It's about what he thinks is happening. And that's his view on that. And it's actually pretty interesting, if you ask me. There you go. So just like I said, I'm not playing those on this video, right? Photocopy, not photocopy. Like I don't want to be tagged for using videos without permission or anything. So just go, the links are below. Just go and do it. So there are three main assumptions about the changes. And those are based on that. Uniformitarianism. Wow, I've always had a hard time with this word. Oh, geez. Catastrophic events and Gaia Hypothesis. So I'll explain them in detail. It will be better than trying to just say it. So assumption about this law here, which I can't pronounce. I can't, whatever. So the physical laws and processes that operates today worked the same way in the past. For example, in like this funny little example, a cartoon here, this gravity has always existed. Would it be during prehistoric time or later on? When you see this on a beach, you can pretty much be certain, actually we can be certain, that this happened also way back. By way back, I mean almost at the beginning, as soon as water was on the planet and was touching sand. This actually happened. Why do I say we know this for sure? Because we found fossils of the beach. So the beach went really hard, and we were able to find one part of a beach which had that pattern on it. So we know for a fact that it actually happened back then. Assumption number 2, catastrophic events. Catastrophic events are not gradual change over time, but it shapes the planet. Gradualism was a common theory that explained how geologic changes took place gradually over a long period of time. Although many processes do operate this way, more evidence suggests that catastrophic events do much of the planet's shaping. For example, the collision of large meteors with the Earth. There's geographic evidence of that, and we know for a fact that it actually stopped, so they killed the dinosaurs. Volcanic eruptions also change a lot of things, helped a lot the planet. And another example of large meteors that were striking the Earth is the sudden end of the Ice Age about 10 to 12,000 years ago. And there was an Ice Age that was there, and then all of a sudden, boom, no more Ice Age. Why? Why not? What happened? And you could see in the landscape a lot of evidence of a lot of water that came about that time, during that time. So why did it end suddenly? Most likely a meteor. Now, those are examples, for example, of that, a meteorite. You have that. This is in north of Quebec. You can see that. Volcanoes. You see the volcanoes, how it changed there. Sudden end of Ice Age. You see here, this is an example of a lot of water that went through this. Like tons and tons and tons of water. Okay, this you may see a little tiny Like not even like here, it's a huge building that's there. So yeah, those are examples of that. And assumption number 3, Gaia hypothesis, is this. It's the idea that the Earth is a living system. Life helps create environment it needs in order to live. So we create our environment so that we can live in it. So it goes beyond the view that life exists simply as a response to physical condition in a place, and it examines how life on Earth has influenced the physical environment. There's a reason why we are shaped as we are. The pausing thumb that humans have a reason for it, and that reason is most likely due to the environment. So the environment has changed us as we change the environment. Gaia hypothesis suggests that the biosphere is like a living organism that can influence its own evolution through natural mechanisms such as temperature change or chemical modification. So really, when we say everything is linked together, that's what we mean. That's exactly what we mean. There's an increasing evidence to suggest that evolution on the Earth atmosphere and much of the Earth's surface was profoundly influenced by life on planet Earth. So life influenced the planet and the atmosphere to influence us, or to influence life, and life influenced the environment. So all this, there's an increasing evidence that all this is actually very, very possible. Again, we'll see. All right, let's go to the next one. Questions. In the video about the changing environment, what gas is known to be even more damaging than CO2? Somebody saying that in there. Where is gas stored or located? Well, when I say this gas, well, the gas that I'm asking here. So where is this gas stored? According to NASA, what is the main contributor to global warming? Fairly simple. Maybe a bit of reading, but you'll find it easy. What are the 3 assumptions about the changes? And in your own word, explain briefly the 3 assumptions about changes. So that's easy, easy peasy, or should be anyway. If you're not sure, just go back, look in the video, and you'll be knowing. And there you go. This is the end of your Unit 1. So thank you for coming and watching. Take care.